Hey, I'm Johnny Z. Welcome to Rather Be Riffing. It is Friday evening, and hope everyone's staying warm, enjoying their evening. I certainly am. I've decided to stay in, and I have been improving over this beautiful ethereal loop I made, and it's something I love to do at the end of a week to decompress. It's almost like meditation for me, and I come up with a lot of cool new ideas and motifs and licks that way. It's a ton of fun. And I've been enjoying my Gilyaron Bone 59 while I've been jamming. This is an incredible guitar. I haven't yet featured it on the channel. Let me know if you're familiar with Gil's work, and if you'd like to see a video on this guitar, I'd be happy to oblige. In this video, I'm going to talk about how I get my guitar solo tones to sit in a mix and speak in a mix. In my last series of videos where I was comparing my 594s with my Gibson Les Paul, I got a lot of questions about my guitar rig and how did I get my sounds. So I thought it'd be cool to take one of the solos from that series of videos and break it down in terms of my rig, what pedals I used, what kind of ambient effects did I use. But before we do so, I would really encourage you to try to focus more on the concepts that I'm using than the specific gear. Gear is fun, gear is cool. We all have different gear and different tastes, so I think you may get more out of the video by trying to understand what I'm trying to achieve with the tools I have and try to apply these concepts to the tools that you have access to. So let's dive in. So first I'm going to start out with my dry sound. I'm using a stereo rig. One of the amps is a 2-rock Bloomfield drive set clean. The other amp is a Blankenship Twimplex set clean. These are both based on Fender Blackface style amps. So let's check out what that sounds like. The next step I want to talk about is the first gain stage. I'm running a Vemram tube screamer. It's the TSV 808 model that they partnered with Ibanez on. So let's kick that on and check out what that sounds like. What I like about this overdrive pedal is that it's a fuller range sounding tube screamer, and I'm running it fairly low gain here. I think of it as the foundation of my sound, my starting point from which to build everything else on. So the next pedal I'm going to layer on here is a boost pedal. This is my second gain stage. Really important point. I'm running the boost in front of the tube screamer here to simulate boosting the front end of an amp that's already overdriven. And the particular boost pedal I've chosen here is an Exotic Effects Soul Driven. It's the Andy Hines signature model. And why I chose this pedal here is it has a mid-range knob, and you'll see on my settings that I've got the mid-range boosted here. And I'm running the gain on this boost very low. And so I'm really using it just to add a bit more sustain and give it a little bit more mid-range boost to help the solo poke through the mix. I'm going to start with just the first gain stage initially, and then I'm going to turn the boost on, turn it off, turn it back on. You'll see me sort of leaning over to step on the pedal, and you can hear a subtle difference in the amount of sustain and the mid-range character when the boost is on versus when it's off. So let's check that out. So next I'm going to start layering on all the ambient effects. And just a warning here, for folks that like more of a drier sound, this next section might not be for you. I happen to love reverbs and delays. I think it adds a lot of excitement to the track and also helps the solo to really sit in the mix. So let's dive into how I build up those effects now. So the first effect I'm going to add is a mono spring reverb. Now with my two stereo amps, the Blankenship doesn't have built-in reverb. The 2-rock does, but I have that off. So both amps are dry, and I'm running a separate spring reverb unit in front of the amp before I split it to stereo. And when you listen back, I've got both amps panned hard left and right, but because the guitar is actually mono and both amps are equal volume, you'll notice in the previous clips it sounds like the dry guitar is coming straight up the center in the stereo field. And when I add on this spring reverb unit, because I'm adding it in mono before the signal gets split, you're also going to hear the spring reverb coming up the center in the stereo field. I'll hit the guitar dry before I turn on the reverb, and then I'll hit it again so you can hear the tail of the reverb, and then I'll do a little bit of playing. So let's check out what that sounds like. So the reverb unit I'm using there is a tube spring reverb. It's by Ebo. It's called the Everb. I learned about it from Tom Bukovac's homeschooling channel. I found one used. They're hard to come by, but I've been really enjoying the character of that reverb so far. So the next effect I'm going to add is a mono character delay. This is also run before I split the signal into stereo, so you're going to hear this delay coming up the center along with the spring reverb. For this effect, I'm using a UAD Starlight delay. This pedal has stereo capabilities, but again, I'm just simply running it in mono because I want a mono delay up the center that can add some character. I'm using the Deluxe Memory Man simulation, and I've got some modulation added to the delay. I'm using the vibrato setting, and that modulation really adds some nice character to the sound. So I'll play some parts with the delay turned on and off so you can hear the difference. I'll also hit the guitar and mute it so you can hear the delay trail to get a sense for how many repeats. And listen out for the modulation, how it just subtly wavers. It really creates this lovely floating quality in the track. So let's check that out. Another important point about the mono delay, I like to tap tempo the mono delay to match the tempo of the track. The Starlight delay has a tap tempo feature, so it's really easy to do. So up next, I'm going to add stereo delay, and this is going to really widen the stereo image and add a lot of excitement. And because I'm running a stereo rig with both amps panned hard left and right, and I'm using a true stereo delay that has stereo ins and stereo outs, you're actually going to hear the stereo delay out hard left and hard right here. And that's going to add a lot of width to the sound field and a lot of excitement as the guitar sound sort of starts to bounce a little bit left and right. The delay I'm choosing to use here is a Keeley Halo. It's the Andy Timmons signature delay pedal. I'm using the stock Halo setting, and I've made no adjustments to any of the parameters. Again, I'll hit the guitar and mute it so we can hear the delay trails. And it's going to sound very chaotic for a number of reasons. One is that's a multi-tap delay. I believe it's got a quarter note on one side and a dotted eighth on another, and they feed back into each other. So you're gonna hear a lot of ping-ponging and multiple delay trails cascading. And also I still got that mono delay up the center. And by muting and just listening to the trails, doing that's really out of context. That's not what the delay sounds like when I'm playing in the context of the track. In the context of the track, the halo really starts to morph into more of a reverby type effect. So I'll demonstrate that now. All right, so that's it for effects and pedals. That's the entire chain, soup to nuts. What I like to do next is play back a loop of the solo where I layer each of the effects on one at a time, starting with the dry sound and finishing off with the final sound. When I performed the solo in the intro, I had recorded it with a TC Electronics Ditto looper. So I've got that performance captured on my looper pedal. So that's what's going to enable me to play back the solo and turn on the physical pedals while the solo's playing to hear how each pedal stacks up and creates the overall picture. So let's check that out. So an important point here, listening to all this in isolation, it sounds like a lot, right? Especially the effects. And the reality is when I'm sitting alone and playing and not recording and I'm just noodling around on my guitar, I wouldn't be using that many effects. But in the context of the track, the effects aren't as obvious and they're sort of in the background and they help the part really sound more exciting and to blend in. And so I want to demonstrate that now by playing the loop again. And what I'm going to do is start out with all the effects in, and then I'm just going to take the ambient effects in and out as a solo play so you can hear the difference between the dry guitar sound and the affected guitar sound. And let me know what you think. This is very much a personal taste thing. I love the excitement the effects add, But also dry can be super cool too, so there's no right or wrong here. Let me know what you think in the comments below. So I hope this video was helpful for you as you're experimenting with your own guitar solo tones. Let me know which of the concepts you enjoyed learning about. Which ones are you excited to try? Let me know if you've gotten any good results. I'd love to know what pedals you're using to apply these concepts. And if you've got any concepts I didn't talk about that you use that you'd like to share, I'd love to listen and learn, so let me know down below. Otherwise, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Like, subscribe, and help get this content out to others that may find it useful. In the meantime, take care, and I'll see you in the next video.